What's up guys, a little bit of a different type of video today. In my last video, the Demigod Protocol, I asked you guys what videos you like to see and a couple of you said workout walkthroughs. So that's what we're going to be doing today with a little bit of a voiceover instead of you looking at my ugly mug. Now before we jump into it, if you guys end up liking this style of video, let me know down below, and then also, hey, subscribe so you can see the other days of my workout. And this is my upper one day, the Dragon Reborn. What I kick off my week, and this comes from the Wheel of Time, where the main character and the chosen one is the Dragon Reborn. And that's essentially what this is you're being reborn into the week to go out there and goddamn conquer it. And I kick that off with incline bench and pull-ups. I've experimented back and forth with flat bench or one arm rows to kick this off, but this is really kind of what I'm liking right now. And incline bench has been my main pressing movement for, since like February, March, and I have seen the significant gains in my chest and my musculature. I have never done incline bench for a serious period of time before now, and it has made a huge difference in the way my physique looks. That combined with overhead pressing on day 3, which is gunslinger. Something that I really like about incline bench with the barbell as compared to the dumbbells or pretty much any machine is just the raw power and the positioning that you can get with your shoulder blades locked back and your legs under you. You feel really secure and it feels really natural. I'm moving more towards using a slightly wider grip than I have previously because I was doing a lot of just thumbs from the inside of the bar, close grip benching, getting my triceps moving, and I hit some pretty good weights with that, but I kind of want to still get that stretch on my chest. Previously in the past couple months, I was using a cambered bar, as you can see in the video, but it just kind of didn't feel like the power move that I wanted to start my workout. I'll definitely incorporate it in other aspects later on, but starting with the stretch, even if it is the almighty thing and the holy grail of gains right now, just didn't feel right to me. Instead, driving some weight and really powering through with the good old barbell, still getting a great stretch because I'm bringing my grip out a bit wider, seems more right, and I feel more of a connection with my chest. And that combined with doing dips later in my workout, which is plenty of stretch for my chest and shoulders and everything involved, I think I'm going to be okay. The extra 2 inches of range of motion with a cambered bar or dumbbells isn't going to make or break my physique, and I think the extra poundage that I can push and the ferocity that I'm going to attack and exercise I care about more is going to make more of a difference in the long run. Something that I've experimented on and off when it comes to incline bench, since I'm sitting in a pretty high rep range, is partial reps when I have a spotter. If you do them controlled, you can feel a little extra stretch on your chest, and I'm not really in danger of tearing a pec because I'm not on steroids, so that's pretty convenient right there. I'm not totally sure if I like them or don't like them, but they're kind of fun and they're nice intensity and really get you woken up if you had a long day at work and you're kind of dreading your workout. Do some fucking partial bench reps that you have to get it pulled off your chest. That'll wake you right up. Also, I swear when it comes to these hardcore bodybuilding gyms, the plates are just fucking heavier. When you're benching straight iron plates or those old school dumbbells, the weight goes significantly down, probably by a whole increment of what you can do. Compared to me going back to the college gym when I'm visiting my girlfriend or something, the weights are down because I've done 235 for 12 for 1 or 2, maybe 3 sets with a set of 10 on incline bench. But here I'm barely hitting 225 for reps. The plates just fucking move differently, despite me being in the full swing of the bulk. And then that's with me hitting PRs on different things like a tricep press down. So I know for sure the poundage is off, but that isn't really a problem because it means that you get a nice strength boost and you feel like you made a shit ton of gains when you end up working out in a different gym. As for pull-ups, these are something that I have incorporated heavily in the past year and a half or so. Before that, I had a lot of lat pull downs. I do pull-ups, but not full range of motion all the way down and the chest to bar and then partial reps, really squeezing through my lats, which has been my hardest body part to connect over my career of lifting. But after committing to them, after I saw an Omar Isuf post about him doing like 10,000 pull-ups or whatever in a year, I was like, fuck, man, I've been slacking on those pull-ups. I know it is a staple bodybuilding movement, and now I just love them. It is my go-to vertical pull. I do them 2 times a week in this program, but at certain times I was doing them 3 times a week, and then I even tried incorporating them with some nucleus overload on leg days, but that was just a little bit too much back volume. Just regular with grip pull-ups and continuing to those partial reps, trying to drive through my lats. Yeah, I'm getting a little arms involved, a little bit of upper back, but it's my first exercise. I kind of want to get the blood flowing through those tendons and ligaments so that I can jump into biceps and into my upper back exercises and a little bit with my shoulders fresh and ready to go. I love supersetting a pull with a press as the first thing because it warms you up for all the other body parts. And then on to my second superset, which is tricep press downs with the rope, and then these cable rows that I've incorporated. Previously, I was doing a hammer strength one arm row, but fuck man, loading up 3.5 plates, whatever it is, kind of a pain in the ass to unload. So I've been experimenting with these. This is the second week that I tried these out. I'm recording this a couple weeks after this was recorded, and so I have changed up the form just a bit. I now put my knee up on the opposite side, and then with my arm braced on that other side, I feel much more secure and able to get a little body English into the stretch. As for tricep press downs, I'm starting to do these twice a week along with a long rope press down to really kind of hammer in the movement pattern. I've always been an advocate of exercise variety, but I'm experimenting with really focusing and specializing on an exercise, and it's yielded pretty good results. My progress on the weight stack has been faster with those 3 times a week frequency of hitting that similar, almost exact movement pattern in case of the long rope. And then I'm also incorporating these super length partials after the set. Previously, I'd just do maybe the first 3, but then I've continued to go until it's almost like a pullover, just focusing on activating my triceps. Now, some people may say there's some carryover to the lats, and isn't this affecting your back workout? And then you're also doing the rows right after you did pull-ups, but you gotta look at it in a different light. It's not fatiguing my back. I'm putting it before the other exercises in the program to give more emphasis on this day to my back. And having my triceps working in that extended position and maybe getting my lats involved, most definitely getting my lats involved, just adds to the mind-muscle connection, which I'd previously not had a good relationship with. And I just get the sick fucking pump. One last thing about these one arm rows. Yeah, it does look like a science-based thingy-mabob, strap in, iliac lat pull down type exercise, but what it is an avenue of progression that I have not explored. Unilateral rows is something that has not been present in my program significantly over the years, and it's a place where I can have growth. I will never shit on something that has potential for me to grow, especially when I do see results tangible in other people of it working. For example, Jeffrey Verity Schofield has done a lot of these and his back has improved. I have barbell rows on my other day. I've done a ton of double hand, heavy rowing, going at it. But you know what? It is also good to focus on areas that you have not attempted to put genuine effort in. And that's what this is. Especially after pull-ups, I feel a great connection with it. And I do think that it is helping improve my back. So as much as I'm against all the, well, I wouldn't say against, but as much as I kind of shit on the whole science thing and finding the exact right way to do everything, you can always learn from everybody. What is the saying? A broken clock is right twice a day. I mean, science-based lifters are right a lot more than that because they do have good logic and sound logic, even if they don't have the passion and the X factor that comes with actual true artist lifting. But you should never disrespect somebody and their style in its entirety because there is probably something that you can take away from it, even if it is that I don't ever want to do that. What you'll see me doing on these tricep press downs is keeping the rope pretty close to my body and bringing it up and holding my shoulder joints at a locked angle to get that stretch across this triceps. Despite it being short head biased, you can still get a significant amount of stretch and long head activation if you allow your shoulders to be locked in and your arms to travel close to your face. I hit my nose a lot of the times with the cable because I am trying to get the most out of that stretch position and not just having it be a shortened biased exercise. Everybody hates on shortened biased exercises, but you can get the best of both worlds when operating in a different context. You have to change your viewpoint on how exactly an exercise is supposed to be performed. Kick my butt back a little bit, sweep a little back into it. And not only am I getting that short head involved, but also the medial and the long head. It's a little bit of everything, and you don't need to hyper specialize in the stretch. You can just try to get it to the best of your ability. Unlike those rows where I'm definitely focusing in on the stretch, especially after those pull-ups. Now the third superset is weighted dips with alternating dumbbell curls. I always kind of like to have a chest and bicep superset somewhere on my first upper day, more as a mentality thing than anything. It works well in programming, but your secondary press combined with your primary bicep exercise is pretty tiring in the mentality sort of way, because it is not using the same muscles, but you need to toughen up to get a hard bicep set after doing your chest. Starting with those dips, getting a bunch of range of motion. For this one, I start light just with 45s and do a bunch of reps to make sure my shoulders are all good and get a nice pump before upping the weight. And then jumping to that first set of alternating bicep curls where I go heavy and I work at it. With good form and control, this last week I hit 60s for 10 and then dropped to 55s for 10, and I did 50s for 12. So I'm doing pretty good on these. In this video, I think these are 55s or 12 or 14, something like that. You can use a little bit of body English when it comes in exercise like this, and you should to get those past failure reps, which when it comes to biceps, they're not technically past failure, it's just kind of cheat reps instead, versus triceps, they are past failure reps. Nuances that don't matter as long as you're working hard. As for dips, I'm not really sure if I classify them as my main chest movement or a shoulder movement or a tricep movement. I really don't mind blasting all those things because those are most definitely get you jacked muscles. But my chest likes it, but I'm thinking about maybe swapping it for a machine press at this point because it's also a little annoying to load up, especially when I go heavier. I'm going pretty light in these videos and really focusing on the range of motion, but I can stack the plates on there. And I'm a little scared for this lifting belt because the dip belts I hate and I almost pinch my nuts off with the chain. So I'd prefer not to do that. But dips are a staple exercise, just like pull-ups. Anything with your body weight is essential to have in your program at one point or another and has insane development potential. But I've been running these for a while, so I'm thinking I might try a machine press instead. As for alternating dumbbell curls, the progression on these is addicting because you have that time to think and lock in and look. It's not a quick set of 12. No, you have one arm, then the other, then one arm, then the other. So you really need to grind and use your mental strength to push yourself to the limits. And then you discover that, holy shit, man, I did those heavy dumbbells, which felt like it on rep 4. So rep 8, but 4 if you divide by 2 for either arm. And now you're at rep 24 doing 12 and still fucking killing it. It's really an exercise that I've never done before this year, but I genuinely enjoy it. And it's a tried and true classic or variation of a classic. All right, and up next is pullovers with a dumbbell and then lateral raise machine. Actually, this week I have swapped the lateral raise machine for strapped in upright rows. And holy shit, does that feel good when you find the right grip width. I'm really loving them, and I started out going heavier to just see where I was at and the amount of partials that I can do, but I'm backing off and building it up with a higher rep range to really just fucking nail it once I get in the groove in about 2-3 weeks. As you get more advanced, your adaptation time for exercises, new or old, but you're doing them again, gets shorter. When you're a new lifter, you can have neurological adaptations for kind of a while. But for me, for example, like I do a new exercise and I get 6-8 reps on it. I do that same weight the next week. I'm at 10-12 reps. And then the third or fourth week, okay, progress has stalled out on the neurological adaptations. It has to be a pure strength gain from here. I'm not a scientist and I can't look at the biological makeup of my body, but I think it has to do something with your muscles' propensity to adapt, increasing over time as you lift and the amount of stimulus that you're exposed to over a certain amount of years, and your genetics actually do change. I'm a slight believer in the epigenetics things in certain parts, and I think this is a case of that. Now, as for the pullovers, as I talked about in the Demigod Protocol, they are a fucking staple. Also, I made a video on this for changing your back and the way it looks from the front, more importantly. You ever do a lat spread and kind of looks like shit, your arms are okay, but you have no spread? Do some goddamn pullovers, get your serratus popping, and yeah, so what it hits chest, so what it hits triceps. These things are fucking killer. I don't really have much else to say besides, you know what, I use a pad to add more range of motion because these benches are a little low, these dumbbells are a little hard on the wrist, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do for the gains. I got a little sloppy during this set because I was just kind of playing around with different factors, different elbow angles. Then on the last set, I tried even sticking my feet out straight so my hips were automatically dropped down and they couldn't rise up unconsciously. I also kind of had a hip cramp, so that's why I did it. And hey, you know, it kind of worked, but not my favorite thing because I didn't feel quite as stable. That's something you need to be doing in the gym. Is even an exercise you feel locked down in, try something a little different. Don't hurt yourself, dumbass, but actually try. Hey, what if I change this angle? Hey, what if I use a different attachment, different tempo, pull to a different place, push lower, push higher, whatever it is, you want to experiment because you can unlock things, maybe not for that exercise or that session, but it sticks in your brain, it stews in your brain, and later on you find something to turn the key to more gains. Experimentation is the lifeblood of bodybuilding. And in that context, I mean personal experimentation because everybody is going to like and find different things that work for them. Yeah, you see people inventing those bullshit exercises. Be some Jeff Nippard tier list shit where he has S tier as stretch base, pull around your asshole, bend bicep curl. But at the end of the day, it could be something like, hey, I prefer a pronated grip on bicep curls as it allows me to feel a good stretch exactly where I want to grow. And speaking of biceps, we have our penultimate superset, preacher curls and one arm overhead extensions with the rope. Now these preacher curls are the second exercise that I'm kind of specializing in. I do preacher curl close grip on Monday. I do preacher curl medium grip or regular grip on Wednesday. And then I do machine preacher curls on Friday. This is another thing that I've seen significant progress on just by specializing in, giving the repeated bout effect. I kind of got this idea from basement bodybuilding and then power lifters because there's a couple power lifters in my gym who are constantly just bench squat deadlift, bench squat deadlift. Some of them make more progress than others, some of them don't. And I think it is a variety and programming issue, maybe along with genetics and a caloric surplus. But something I do see is that they become very good at those movements. And with becoming very good, you can become stronger, more efficient, and becoming stronger is more load on your muscles. More load on your muscles is bigger muscles because you're straining harder. So hey, I try something more often, I get better at it. I get better at it, I get bigger at it. So that is something that I'm going with this specialization, and I'm really loving these preacher curls. As for this day in particular, I was on my final week of Until Death dynamic double progression by using drop sets to get past 35s on either side, and lo and behold, in the 2 weeks since, I've been using 40 pounds on either side and absolutely ripping at it now that I'm not doing those drop sets, and my biceps feel really fucking good on a heavier weight while just doing straight sets instead. That volume plus that intensity overload over that period of time, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Demigod Profile or my intensity video about Until Death dynamic double progression. But it's essentially using drop sets or intensity techniques to push past a weight plateau. And it works. If you're patient, you will bust through the plateau on any of your accessory movements. Something I have switched up in the past couple months is my preacher curl form. I used to always kind of slot my shoulders into the bottom and stretch from that position, but this bench kind of taught me, okay, you can't do that because it would just donk the safeties at the bottom. So I started sitting farther back and putting my elbows higher, which allowed me to get a little bit more stretch and then use a little bit of oomph at the top to get more reps overall. Because the bottom of the preacher curl, yeah, you can either have zero oomph or you can have a lot of oomph if you use a little cheat to get it up. Because despite what a lot of people say, the top of the preacher curl is not without resistance, especially if you kind of lean back to add more travel for gravity to take. And then the second exercise I have is one arm overhead extensions with the rope plus partial reps and all that bullshit, of course. I'm not totally sure if I like these better than just good old dumbbell overhead extensions, but they're different and they're super easy to set up. And hey, you know what? A new stimulus from time to time is kind of nice. I do feel like they're easier on my elbows than the dumbbell, and you also don't accidentally hit yourself in the back of the head. Maybe that's just me being clumsy, but that happened way too often for it not to be a coincidence. I don't really have much to say about these besides why I choose to do these unilateral instead of having another bilateral tricep exercise to mass blast them into Mars, is that probably my biggest weakness when it comes to arm uniformity is the long head of my right tricep. I'm lefty, by the way, and that is the weaker muscle. So I'm going to put a little bit of emphasis on it because if something is lacking and I want to improve it, what do? Give it time and attention and effort. All right, we are on to our final superset with low-high chest flies and then the Thiccenator. Shout out to Jeffrey Faraday Schofield for that. Low-high chest flies have been a staple of chest training for me for very many years, quite a few years. I'll be a bit more eloquent when it comes to my speech and my lexicon and my vocabulary and my diction. Okay, back to topic at hand. Yeah, so there was a good chunk of period of time where I was only doing 6 sets of chest, where chest flies were not on the menu, and I was really sad. But after going to level 3 of the Demigod Protocol, chest flies are back on the menu. And fuck yeah, I miss these. My God, staring at yourself in the mirror, shoulders popping, chest popping, neck popping, and the feeling, the good connection, the burnout, the relatively lightweight compared to your dips and your incline bench, and just feeling the chest connection. Nothing like it. Nothing like a good chest pump from chest flies. And then paired with the Thiccenator. This is another little cardio set at the end of your workout, back to back. You don't really need any rest. You just go get a sip of water and continue going back and forth. And this is rear delts and upper back, depending on the technique that you use. I usually try to hit a little bit more rear delts to start off with, because they tire out quicker, and then you can get the upper back involved. I do that by kind of keeping my scapula down and just operating at the shoulder joint. I don't think I like the cables quite as much as the dumbbells, because something very nice about the dumbbells is that when you get the momentum from the top to the bottom, it increases the weight with the momentum of gravity, causing it to be a heavier stretch on your rear delts at the bottom of the lift, and then resisting them crashing together adds even more tension to your rear delts, especially when you're using a bit of weight. For me, that'd be like 45, 50 pounds on those rear delt flies. But with the cable, it's really consistent, and you can get that stretch at the bottom, but I don't think it's as great as controlling gravity momentum from dumbbells. But those are very hard to learn. I usually recommend people start on a reverse pec deck and get to feel their rear delts, because most likely they've been working in tandem with your traps for years and you have no idea how to isolate them. Well, that's the workout in its entirety, but I'll talk a bit more about the logic of programming and the specialization of certain movements at certain points during the day. As you can see, I open up with an incline press because I want to focus on that upper chest, but it's more than that. Why I make my primary first movement where I have the most energy a chest exercise is because I only hit chest twice a week, whereas I hit back and everything else 3 times a week. So that when it is time to specialize in that and when it's time to hit that, I want to get most out of the 2 sessions that I have. And that is why I start with those presses first thing on this day, and then also my other upper day, Excalibur. And then when it comes to everything else and its place in the program, well, it's balanced with the rest of the week. Certain things are given emphasis first, like I talk about in the Demigod Protocol. And so everything kind of gets the time and attention it deserves. For example, triceps being the 3rd exercise that I do. Is that an emphasis on getting bigger arms? You're goddamn right it is. If you treat things like secondary exercises and secondary body parts, they're going to perform and receive gains like that. If you want something that's bigger and it's a priority to you, then it better show in your programming and where you are in the day. Overall for me, upper 1, the Dragon Reborn, kicks off my week with 36 sets of grueling hard work, but everything is balanced and imbalanced in the right ways, as I've talked about. What it is exactly what my body needs to grow at its current maximum working potential, as long as I stick to my diet and recovery. That's been the biggest limiting factor for me with working full-time manual labor, is getting in enough food to not only perform, but also gain weight. I've greenlit Operation Chocolate Milk, which is chocolate protein shakes 2 to 3 times a day, which I might make a video on soon. Not chocolate protein shakes, but doing what you must for gains. And hopefully that skyrockets me past the current weight plateau I have, because calories are lacking despite eating well over 4,000 calories a day. Anyways, if you guys enjoy this video, please let me know. I'll cover Hail Reaper next, probably whether you guys like this or not. This is kind of fun. I like to sit down, more casual video. I'm not yelling at you guys. Don't see the bookshelf, even though the bookshelf is really cool. I need to post on the Jack Nerd again. Anyways, like and subscribe. I'm out, guys. Peace.